Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel. This is the Wicked Bee of the West YouTube channel. My name is Stephanie Diana Eubank. I'm a doctoral candidate at Concordia University of Chicago and a operational management business professor at Stan State. So today I want to talk about a really interesting concept that's come up repeatedly in my dissertation research as I'm finishing up the dissertation for my final defense. So what is interesting that has come up is the concept of leadership seems to be interpreting remote work as if it is the same as you being in the office at your computer versus it being a totally different beast. It's basically being viewed as a different modality versus a different type of work and work environment as a whole. And this is a mistake. Remote work is not the same thing as being in the office at all. It is not the same. You cannot treat it as the same. You cannot manage your team as if it's the same. It is a totally different beast. And as such, we as business leadership have to learn how to lead remotely and that you can't manage or treat it as if you're in the office. What I mean by that is you may be managing a team as if they are there in the office, which means even though they're salary workers, you may be expecting them to be at their desk between 8 and 5 o'clock p.m., whatever time zone you are in. You have to understand that, especially if you have salaried workers, their work tends to be more of creative problem solving, subject matter expertise, and other creative type idea generation productivity versus, say, customer service or sales or other things that are done at an hourly basis or traditionally done on an hourly basis versus a salary basis. And what this means is, first and foremost, you have to expect the fact that productivity has to be measured both quantitatively and qualitatively. And to be fair, I would argue you should be doing that anyway as a leader, whether you're on-site or remote. You also have to factor in, as a leader, you would be leading teams where either you're remote or your team is remote or there's hybrid or you're hybrid, but there are a number of different variations of that and people on different time zones. So managing in that way becomes restrictive. And a lot of leaders keep finding themselves basically checking to see if you're doing something wrong or you're taking advantage and spend so much time trying to catch people doing that. They ignore their top performers, they ignore the work, and they basically spend their time trying to tattle on people. It's really very elementary school level and not a good use of leadership's time or energy. When you look for problems, that's all you're going to find. When you look for the work and the productivity and look at that to shine, you're going to develop trust within your team. You're going to be able to better mobilize your team and create better morale and develop a true remote culture. If you're just treating it as if they're right there in the office next to you, in the cubicle right next to you, you're going to run your company and your team that way, and that's not good or healthy for either party, and it hinders productivity and creativity. A lot of people in remote workplaces have the added bonus of having a fresh area where they can control the environment and increase their creativity, such as when I need to think of a creative way to solve a problem, getting up, go take a walk with my dog and my kids is a great way to be able to boost that creativity. Taking, a couple of minute break to go and do that is not a bad thing. But what we're seeing instead is leadership spending most of their time trying to catch people in the act as if they're doing something wrong when they're generally not. Such as there's so many memes online, especially about companies utilizing bossware to lock you out of your system because you got up to go to the bathroom, which creates so many HR no-nos because you're doing that. Doing this over policing makes it so that you are hurting your team, you are leaving your company open for lawsuits and for wrongful termination lawsuits by creating a hostile work environment. Let's instead go back to the original principles of business leadership, where we are focused on results, we are focused on the production and the productivity. We are letting the work speak for itself. When we stop treating the remote work as if it's in-person work, the sooner we are going to be able to have the real discussions that we need to have, which is what going forward in the future of work, what skills do we need to start cultivating in our leaders? And that's for next time. That's all I have for you today. Thank you again for joining me on my channel. And remember, remote work, it's here to stay.